Well there folks, it's been a while since I've been back at Cabot Circus for Real Features, and this is actually the first new review for Real Features since Spider-Man Homecoming. A lot of the stuff that's been done for Real Features this season has been retro reviews, porting over from Special Features, which is now defunct. Simply because I felt the movie magazine needed a reboot, and that's what I did 3 years ago, just turned it into Real Features, because a lot of people get confused with Special Features like, you know, DVD extra features and what have you. So, reviewing the first Thor movie since Thor Dark World, which was 3 years ago. Oddly enough, saw and reviewed it at this spot over here in Cabot Circus, and where are we going to go this time? We've got... I forget the actor's name who played Loki. Tom Hiddleston, very charismatic guy. We've got Chris Hemsworth coming back as Thor. Damn it. Forgetting the actor's name who plays Bruce Banner. This is going to annoy me today. He'll come to me. We've got him back as Bruce Banner and as the Hulk, and we got Jeff Goldblum coming in a somewhat comedic role. It's actually nice to see Jeff Goldblum getting more work again, because he is really such an underrated actor. I think he could have done less with the comedic approach for Independence Day Resurgence, which it was an okay movie, but it wasn't as great as I thought it would be. But you know, we'll see. At the end of, I'm guessing it's going to be 2 hours for Ragnarok. Will this still be as mighty as the Dark World or as the original Thor? We'll see. At the end of 2 hours, we'll find out. Right, you've come over to the spoiler portion, well, the spoiler review. So I'm going to give you the usual standard 5 seconds so you can click off if you came onto this mistakenly thinking this was the spoiler free. Okay, and we're good. I'm going to get on to with writing. Considering now, I know a whole bunch of people that are die-hard Marvel comic book fans that study the source material, and a lot of people had problems with Ragnarok not being the end of days as it's supposed to be foretold within the Thor mythology, of which it relates to in the comics. I've never actually read the source material, so I can only comment what I actually saw on the screen. It does seem to have a Stephen Summers Mummy vibe compared to what they were going for, as opposed to, like, you know, an apocalyptic end of days scenario. I think for Thor, though, with the way that his particular movie arc has been crafted, I think it works for him. I mean, Thor, to a degree, is a very noble character, but there is a lot of charisma with regards to the way he's written, the way he's acted and portrayed by Chris Hemsworth. And although the character was not too keen on the idea of having his locks trimmed, I think the shorter look favours him quite well. So that was interesting to see. The pacing is consistent. There's nothing that really slows this movie down at all. So I'm glad that the consistency of the fluid pacing was there, because one of the things that a lot of comic book movies have a problem with doing is it takes a while to set up the point and the direction of what they're trying to go for. So I'm glad it has that mummy, Stephen Summers Mummy rollerball feel, in which that it's still moving, even though there's no action scene. So that I was glad with. Visual effects, it's ILM. You know, these are the same people that did the first two Iron Man movies, because Iron Man 3 was done by Weta Digital, and they're awesome. So visually, I didn't have with regards to visual effects, I mean, with Marvel movies, particularly since the first Iron Man movie and the only entry into the Incredible Hulk series, going back 9 years ago, they still need a sequel for that. Can't be the only one thinking this. You know that you're getting your money's worth and then some with Marvel. I mean, even when Marvel were doing this on a budget, back in the late 2000s and early 2010s, you got your money's worth and then some, because special effects are always decent looking, and the same thing with the visual effects, although Hulk has come a long way since his 2008 incarnation, in which he looks scarcely better than an Xbox 360 character, which that even by itself is dated by gaming standards today. Although the 360's only got phased out, what, within the last year? So, I don't know. Depends how you view things. Score is decent. I will just have a quick look at regards to music. Mark Mothersbaugh and the synthesized score, this is brilliant, is influenced by the work of Jean-Michel Jarre, and the synthesizer score, it feels a little odd to have this really old school retro 80s synthesizer feel in places for Thor, but it actually works well with some of the visuals, particularly on the Grandmaster's architecture on Sakaar. And it has to be said, Jeff Goldblum, you know, even though this guy is one of the antagonists of this movie, he is just an absolute treat to watch, because he has just such fun charisma as the Grandmaster. And has to be said, I'll be looking forward to seeing what you do next year for Jurassic World: The Fallen Kingdom as Ian Malcolm. It's been too long, my friend. It's been too long. Life will find a way. So, I can't really comment too much more about writing, because I feel like everything had a natural progression and a natural conclusion as well. And it's nice to see Hulk included in this, because outside of the 2008 Hulk movie, the only times we've seen Banner and the Hulk is in the Avenger movies, and now with Thor Ragnarok. And it's nice to actually hear Hulk get dialogue. And this is actually the first live-action Marvel movie where Hulk is not voiced by Lou Ferrigno. And I like that this time around, Hulk does look a lot like Mark Ruffalo, because they actually included much more of his facial features into Hulk's look. Although it's interesting to see and hear that he had apparently been in his Hulk state for 2 years, and it's only seen the video message from Natasha that calms him down and he reverts back to Banner. What else about casting? Now, I know there is some controversy surrounding the casting of Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. I'm not going to get into the politics of that, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to review the material that is the movie and just give my honest opinions on it. Lady has got a lot of moxie. Very savvy. Kicks a lot of ass and takes no names, and just gets on with the job. And I don't know too much about the character that it's deriving from in the comic book, so I can't really make any opinion, comment, or comparisons, call it what you will, because I haven't read nearly anything of the source material to make the comparison. I'm just going to make what I see with Tessa Thompson, and she's just a delight to watch. She's just a complete badass, just gets in on there, gets in with it. And I like that Thor really has to work to actually gain her trust and actually persuades her to find herself. Because when we see Valkyrie, she's pretty much a bounty hunter who's lost and just kind of just goes through the motions of what she's doing. And like I say, it's only because of Thor that she refines herself. She finds her true calling again. And that's always pleasant to see, because sometimes in life we do get lost and we do kind of lose our way. And sometimes we just get that one friend that just comes along and goes, this ain't who you are, this is who you are. Make of that what you will. Idris. He's what I like to consider, like, particularly with his character, if I'm reading this right, Heimdall. He is one of the noblest characters within the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Marvel Universe by extension. We have interference. He just looks out for the people. He's always working as Thor's second pair of eyes, and you know, you can't really say a bad word about this character. And similar so with Idris, because he's just such a classy guy. And you know, props to the way he played Shere Khan in the Jungle Book. I really thought he was a decent Shere Khan. Now, Karl Urban as Scourge, I actually had to look through the credits to see it was him playing it, because he went through such a transformation that I didn't even recognize. I'm like, oh, you're good. You're good. Right, who else? Now, Cate Blanchett as Hela. That's another one that surprised me, because she went through such a transformation with regards to wardrobe and makeup that, again, I had to look through the credits to see it was her. And it had been such a long time since I've seen Kate perform on the big screen that it was like, oh, that's good. As Hela, complete badass, just comes in, has no scruples about taking people out, literally, and it's just a case of, right, this is my yard now, I'm the one who runs this yard, you're going to do as I say, and people that just stand up and say, this ain't happening, she's like, okay, make of that what you will. Tom Hiddleston. There is actually something quite charming about him as Loki, because I find a lot with some actors is the lines are blurred between character and the actor. So in a similar vein, it's like how the line is blurred between Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr., because there are so many similar characteristics on either side of them, you couldn't really tell one of them apart. Whether Robert Downey Jr. is a billionaire playboy, a genius playboy billionaire philanthropist on his downtime, I don't know. I mean, he could make enough money to be said genius playboy billionaire philanthropist. I'm doing that too often. But with Hiddleston as Loki, it's like his own natural skin to him. He just fits into this character like a custom-made glove that you could tell he enjoys doing what he's doing. Who's another actor that is kind of... I don't know. I don't know too many actors where can you tell one from the other. Chris Hemsworth, Thor, son of Odin. You really feel like he becomes a true leader in this set piece, whereby in the first movie back in 2010, you get the origin of an arrogant, cruel boy, as his father described him, for acting out on his own. And then you get to the Avengers and you get to see that he's becoming part of a unit and actually starts to grow as a team player. A similar set of circumstances with Thor: The Dark World. He learns to accept and actually enlist other people to assist him. Same thing that happens in Age of Ultron. And we kind of come full circle to where he's being this voice that people gravitate towards as a means of looking for help, assistance, and even he goes to people like Heimdall. Heimdall, yeah, that is the correct pronunciation. To be able to assist with the plan he has to save Asgard's people, and even include enlisting Valkyrie, Hulk, and Loki. Although I like that there's like a kind of banter between the two. It's like, I'm not doing, I need help. You have to see the movie, but it's just a means of, he uses Loki, who's supposed to be wasted off his head and just supposed to be as a means of getting through security, which I thought was amusing. And Random said to me years ago, movie 3 relates more to the first movie in whereby, and I suppose in some regards to the first Avengers movie, where Loki will have a projection of himself that's not there, and Thor has actually wised up to his antics at long last, that he actually puts one of these shocker discs on the back of Loki and actually gets him shocked as a result. So it's like, oh, okay, someone's actually learned and actually takes what Loki had said from years ago and is actually now throwing it back at him. I just thought, very clever. Very clever indeed. And Anthony Hopkins as Odin. He plays a very, very small role in this movie, in whereby he's used as more of a motivational piece, because Odin dies in the first act of the movie, which and it's such a shame, because Hopkins is, he actually absorbed the role of Odin, as this very noble and majestic father figure and ruler, because Anthony just has that particular aura about him as an actor. I mean, particularly when you've seen him in such things as Bram Stoker's Dracula, and to a subtle extent playing the father figure in The Wolfman, in which he was actually the werewolf that curses the main protagonist, and I suppose antagonist of the movie to some degree. But he just has this very, I wouldn't call him a noble presence in that movie, because he's anything but noble. I'm going to just put that out there right now. But in this, he comes to Thor in visions, whereby as a means of trying to tap into the power he's actually had in him all along, and Mjolnir was just a means of controlling and harnessing his power, because the power was already in him He just had to find the means of breaking through and actually being able to harness the power from within himself. And I find it's usually good when you'll have a parental figure or a loved one that is a means of motivating yourself to actually be able to achieve your potential. And because we've seen this so many times in other forms of media, I mean, particularly with Knight Rider, you know, Wilton Knight was used as motivation for Michael to continue on, particularly with the words of "one man can make a difference," or to when Stevie was murdered on their wedding day, which, ooh. Or to how Spider-Man uses the death of his Uncle Ben as a means of motivation and inspiration to actually go out and make a difference, and to actually use the great power as a responsibility to help those who need it. I was very surprised to see Benedict Cumberbatch show up in this as Doctor Strange. And even then, he's in it for a coffee break, although you can see for Infinity Wars he is likely to get on Thor's nerves again, particularly with the way he just kind of just shifts around all the time. Although I think Thor was appreciating the refill of his beer. Every time it was getting half empty, it's just like I think he's like, yeah, I'm going to stay here again. Although I found it a bit cringe-worthy when he was posting for selfies with fangirls. I'm like, ugh. It's like, really? I don't know. Yeah, I was surprised to see Matt Damon, make a cameo as the Loki actor. That bit kind of threw me off. I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna make too much of this. But acting, I don't think one single person turned in a bad performance. I think, in all honesty, with the material that everyone was given, everyone turned in either a solid B performance or a very satisfying grade A performance. So acting, nothing bad to say. And as I just mentioned, I love the soundtrack. I think the whole sound of the movie, particularly in regards to sound mix, it's one of the best Marvel's ever put out. And particularly with the visuals, when it went to the credits, and it's got this, like I said, this very 80s retro feel to it. I think that really lent itself well to what they were doing, particularly when they were on Sakaar. So, yeah, I'm just going to end this by saying Thor Ragnarok gets a must. In all honesty, I haven't seen a singular amazing Marvel movie like this. Probably not since the first Iron Man movie. Now, by extension, am I to say that every single standalone Marvel movie that's been put out since then is terrible? No. No. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's one of those movies where I can find little to no flaws with it. Now, there will be some that are Marvel comic book purists that will find little things to pick apart, whether it's relating to the source material faithfully or not. That's on them, Again, I'm only reviewing what the material I've seen in front of me because harsh lesson learnt back in the day, never judge what you've never seen nor been to. Trust me, I learned that the hard way. But, yeah, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, then do give it a look, because you're going to get your money's worth, and then some. As for the 3D, I didn't see this in a 3D showing. I saw this in the Director's Hall option, and Considering I'm known to go in there to pick up a fair few provisions, so I avoid going to Mackie D's afterwards, you know, the retractable table in front of you, it's such a wonderful plus option. And Showcase Cinemas, you guys rock. I shall definitely be partaking with you again, and this is the first new review for Real Features for Season 9, because as most people know, this has been a retro season, just bringing back all the good reviews from special features over the years. Don't be surprised if in Season 10 I managed to put in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man from 2012, along with The Dark Knight Rises. We'll see what I'm able to fit in. But until then, folks, this has been MJ Knight, signing off from the Ragnarok review. Good night from the night.